All right, today we are working to create a brochure using Adobe InDesign. The first thing I need to do is I need to download my exercise files located right here. And as soon as they download, I'm going to open the zip folder, grab the file that I'm going to be working with, and drag it to my desktop. As you can see, I have it there. If there's already one there, you can just say replace the files so that you know you have the most updated files and you're ready to get started. The next thing I need to do is I need to open Adobe InDesign. And we're going to begin today by creating a new document. Please follow along and make sure that you set up for a brochure, you set it up with the right settings. We want to have 2 pages, so I'm going to change the number of pages to 2. I'm going to turn off facing pages. I'm going to stick with my page size as letter. My orientation, I'm going to switch to landscape. Hopefully you are looking at inches. If you don't see inches, right, then you can go, I'll show you in a second how you can actually cancel out. Go to Edit, Preferences, Units and Increments, and then again, make sure that your document is set to inches. Right, I'm going to go back to creating my new document, and again, I'm going to input my settings that I want to use to create a brochure. So again, 2 pages, turn off facing pages, make sure the page size is letter, change it to landscape. Your width should be 11 inches and your height should be 8.5 inches. We want to create 3 columns. We want our gutter to be 0.16 inches. We want our margins also to be 0.16 inches. And you'll see because I have this link, they'll all change at the same time. And lastly, I'm going to change my bleed. If you don't see that, just you need to click here where it says more options, and then you'll get your bleed and slug options, and we're going to change that to 0.125, and you'll want that for all, the top, bottom, left, and right. Once you have all this set up, you're ready to select OK, and we're ready to get started. The first thing you want to do, you can see I can see my rulers, but you definitely want to make sure that you can see that. Simply go to View and make sure if you don't see your rulers, say Show Rulers. And also while you're in here, you can make sure that you have it selected to Snap to Guides. That'll help you as you set your document up. We're going to start by creating a line on our brochure. This is going to help us organize our document. I'm going to set this line at 3¼ inches. And now I'm going to use my rectangle tool, my rectangle frame tool, to set up my document. So to do this, I'm going to grab my rectangle frame tool, and I'm just going to draw some rectangles where I'm going to have images or different colors on my brochure. I'm going to start up here in the top right. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drag across. I'm going to select another one. I'm going to just go ahead and from the top corner all the way up, select to here. I'm going to create another frame down here in my bottom left. This is going to stretch all the way across here. And then let's go ahead and create another one. You can actually redraw that one, make it a little bit larger. and then one more just to close this out. There we go. I'm going to go to page 2. And I'm going to go ahead and draw out there. Now I'm going to copy this, and I want it to be the same size. So here comes our first tool that we're going to use. Hold down Alt, right? And then you can just drag your rectangle across. And then do it one more time. And if your rectangles overlap a little bit, that's fine. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and start placing our images. To place our images, I'm going to just select this rectangle frame. I'm going to go to File, Place, and we're going to just place our chair 1 here. I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally, and that's going to go ahead and make it so that my chair fits nicely in that area. I'm going to click on this large frame that I created in the bottom left, and I'm going to go to File, Place, and I'm going to select Chair 2. And I'm going to do the same thing, Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally. I'm now going to select this top right frame, and I'm simply going to change the color of it from no color to black. And then for these last two, I'm going to change the color to green. I want it to be the same green as the chair, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool, I'm going to hold Alt on my keyboard and click on the green couch. Oops, sorry. Let's go back. Let's click away. Let's grab our eyedropper tool. So that happened because I hadn't clicked away from this box up here. Again, hold down Alt, and you can see my little eyedropper, select the green color, and then I can just go up here to this frame and click once, and this frame down here, click once, and I'm ready to move on to page 2. On page 2, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to File. So I'm going to grab my selection tool, go to File, Place, and I'm going to select chairs 3, 4, and 5. So I can do that by holding down Shift and just 3, 4, 5. I've selected all 3 of them, and then watch how quickly this goes. I can select Open, and I'm just going to click once, twice, 3 times, and then I'm going to, with all 3 of these selected, I'm just going to make sure I hold down Shift, select all 3, and I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionally, and there we go. I've got my I've got my 3 images on the bottom. I'm going to place one more image. Up here at the top. I'm going to have it be here, and I'm just going to go to File. Just going to move this in so it's on my document. Snap it right here. And I'm going to go to File Place. And I'm going to look for the schematic Adobe Illustrator artwork and select Open. And for this one, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go to Object, Fitting, but this time instead of fill frame proportionally, we're going to fill content proportionally. Okay, and that's going to go ahead and shrink it down. All right, so now that we've placed all of our images, we're ready to start working with our text. All right, so now we're ready to start working with our type, and we're going to add text to our InDesign document. To do that, we can add text a variety of different ways, but today we're going to open up a text document, right, which was included. And we're just going to simply copy and paste our text into our document. We're going to start though with typing a few things. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to go up to page 1. And I'm just going to create a small text box. And I'm going to type "Living well is the best revenge." And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that text. I'm going to place it on my document. And before I get rid of it and it disappears, I'm going to change my text color from black to paper. I'm going to create another text box down here, and I'm just going to type in the word Carson. And I'm just going to drag that on the green background. And I'm going to, while I have it selected, also right align that text. And I can do that by when I double click into the text box, I'll get all of my text alignment tools. And I can just say align right. I'm now going to go to my text document. And I'm going to find this section that says Think Beyond the Bum. I'm going to highlight that. And I'm simply going to right click and say copy. I'm going to go back to my document. I can actually grab my selection tool and I can just go to edit, paste. And you can see that it populates. And I can go ahead and drop it on my document. Okay, this is telling me that I might need to make my text box a little bit larger, which I did, to make sure that all of my text is visible. I'm going to go back to my text box, or back to my text document, and I'm going to take this small area right here where it says ready to transform your space into something special, and I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy that text. I'm going to go back to my InDesign document and simply select edit, paste. I'm going to move this up onto this green background, and then I want to make it into 2 columns. So I'm going to go to Object. While this is selected still, I can even highlight my text to make sure. Object, Text Frame Options, and under Columns, I'm going to change it from 1 to 2 columns. I'm going to select OK. And then I can always make some adjustments later. On the back, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to drag a text box from my left column all the way across to my right column. So I drag it all the way across all 3 columns. I'm going to go to Object, Text Frame Options, and I'm going to change it to 3 columns here and select OK. And I'm going to go back to my text document, and I'm going to select my inside spread. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to come back to my InDesign document, and I'm simply going to paste it. So now we've added our text. Now that we've added our text, we're ready to style our document. You have some control over which fonts you want to choose to use, right? For me, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pick something. That looks that looks good to me. Something that'll look professional, but also be sort of creative. I'm going to do Book Antiqua. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong answer right now. You're going to highlight the text. Let's make sure it's 12-point font, which it is. And we're going to select 14 points for our leading. I'm going to go down to where we have the font where we typed Carson. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to change the font color by clicking this little arrow and change it to paper. I'm going to make the font size 22. And I'm going to, that's fine. I'm going to go to this text box up here in the top left where it says Think Beyond the Bum. And I'm going to change just that title to be 12 points. I'm going to change the leading to 15. And then I'm going to highlight the remainder of the text in that box, and I'm going to change it to 9.5. So you can see I can select 9, but I'm going to add the 0.5 after it. And I'm going to change the leading to 14. Here in the center, I'm just going to take all of this text. I'm going to highlight all of this. And I'm going to change it to font size 10. And I'm going to change my leading to 15. Okay, and then I do want to make sure that I change my text for each of these to the text font I chose, which is Book Antiqua. So I'm just going to make those changes because it's still set to the original font. And again, you can choose any font that you want that you think makes the brochure look better to you. So there's no right or wrong. And this one we already did. This. All right, we'll come back and we'll do a couple finishing touches later, but let's actually go to the back, and I'm going to highlight all of this text. And I'm going to also change this to 9.5. And I'm going to change the leading to 14, which you can see makes a little bit more space between each letter. And now we're just going to spend a little bit of time like finishing up our document and making it look as professional as possible. So I'm going to grab my selection tool, click away. I'm going to go ahead and say File, Place, and I want to add my Carson logo. All right, I'm going to grab that right here, select Open, and then I'm just going to nestle it right in here. I can adjust where I want it to sit, right? And while I'm while I'm working in here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to drag a horizontal line down. I actually like where the my text on this box sits, but I move that so that I know where I want this text to sit. So I'm going to bring that down all the way to that line. And I'm also going to bring this all the way down to that line. And I'm just going to actually clean this up a little bit. Okay, and then on the back, let's make let's go ahead and take our line tool, and I'm going to set my line to black, and I'm going to set it to half a point, 0.5. I'm just going to draw a line across from end to end. And if I hold down Shift on my keyboard, you can see it makes it so that it's a perfectly straight line. And again, I'm just going to make sure that my line is black. And if I click on it, I can see it's a little bit thicker than I want it to be. I'm going to change it to half a point. I'm actually going to bring it down just a little bit. I've got one more image I want to place. So I want to go to File, Place, and it's this chair 6. So I'm going to open that, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click in the top left corner of that text area, and I'm going to drag it down, make it about that big. And with it selected, I'm going to come up here to the top. I've got my text wrap options, and I'm looking for the one that says wrap around bounding box. I'm going to select that, and you'll see that it's going to move my text over, and I can even create a little bit more space between the image and the text by just doing that. I'm going to hold down Shift so I select both the image and the text box. I'm going to move this text box down just slightly. I'm going to click away, and I'm going to move this image. Down slightly, and then I'm just going to click on only the image one more time. I'm going to say fill frame proportionally, and there we go. This looks pretty good. I could actually make this a little bit larger. Do the same thing again. I'm just going to review my document. I'm going to actually make this a little bit smaller. And I'm pretty happy with how this looks. If you want one more preview of it, I can go up to the top. I can go to View, just Screen Mode, Preview, and it'll give you an idea of exactly what my document's going to look like. Here's my inside spread. Here's the outside, so it looks pretty darn nice. To finish this up, I'm just going to go ahead, I'm going to make sure I've saved it. So I'm going to save as, I'm going to save it into my Q2 file. I call it Ruben _ Chris _ brochure. And I'm going to hit save. and then I'm going to file export, and I'm going to make sure it's set to Adobe PDF print with the correct file name. Hit save, set to high quality print, select export, and if I go to my Chris Rubin Q2 InDesign folder, I'm just going to go ahead, here it is, Rubin Chris brochure. I can open it up, and it looks pretty nice. Thank you very much. Hopefully that helps.